Hello everyone, welcome back to Mixbus TV. David here. Hope you're having a great day. In this video, 6 Waves plugins with secret saturation settings. Let's get to it. I mentioned this in some other videos. There are a handful of Wave plugins that are not saturator, but they act like saturators with specific settings. Let me show them to you. The first one is by far my most used plugin, and not just Wave, just in general, is the Waves SSL Channel. The E channel does the same. Not many people know that when the signal hits the yellow and red lights here on the meter, this plugin adds a subtle saturation, and it's very nice. But it's so subtle that in order for me to have you hear it, I'm gonna do this trick. I'm gonna open the first SSL channel on this track that I'm using for the example, the blue one, and boost the output to 12 dB so the signal hits the yellow and red. And then I'm gonna trim down the level by 12 dB here with a simple trim, and then open an SSL channel on a copy of this track that I'm using for the example, the yellow one, solo them both, and then invert the phase here on the yellow track on the copy. They are now playing at the same level, but the first one, the blue one, is being driven into the SSL channel, distorted, saturated, and then I'm trimming it down to 12 dB so you can hear just the difference between the clean track and the distorted track. It's so very low, so I'm gonna boost the level here. You hear the difference? The difference is the distortion added by the first SSL channel on the original track. Being same level, one inverted the phase, and the second being clean, you hear just the differences, which is the saturation added by the SSL channel. Not many people know this, but the SSL channel actually adds saturation. It's not so easy to use in a mix in this way because you have to trim down the level because, of course, when the output reaches the red, you're going to clip Pro Tools, so you have to insert a trim plugin back to put them back at unity gain. So SSL channel, both G and E, is the first secret saturator by Waves. The second one, the Crumber PI. Of course, this is a compressor, actually one of my favorites. It's a color compressor, but with these specific settings that you can see here on the screen, it adds a nice saturation without compressing it. So these are the settings: threshold all the way up, so it will not engage the compression, output as 0 or more if you want, decay time as 0, and limiting mode for the compression ratio. You play a little bit with the gain staging going into the compressor, and it will start saturate really nicely. So let's hear it. I'll put the input going in at 7 with the SSL, and this is without. This is with. Very subtle, but very nice saturation for the Crumber PI compressor with those settings. Then we have arguably my favorite compressor from Waves, the API 2500. You know, guys, I have the hardware, but I love this plugin so much. It's a real workhorse. But one thing that people might not know about this plugin is that where you engage the analog here on this panel, it doesn't just add hiss and noise, it actually soft clip the output of the plugin. So let me show this to you. If I unbypass it and I turn the analog off, you will see we are going to clip the output. We are 6+ dB in the red, so we are clipping the output, the digital output. But if I put the analog on, doesn't matter how much I turn the output knob, it will never clip. You see peak remains at 0. The clipping light is not lighting up here on the meter in Pro Tools. If I take the analog off, I'm clipping the output stage. So when you engage the analog on the API 2500 plugin, you can use it actually as a distortion unit, as a saturation unit. And it has a really nice color, I have to add. saturation is more obvious when you put it in new mode because it's not going back into the circuit and compress it. In old mode, the API works that when you turn the output knob, it increases the input gain because the signal goes back into the circuit and it gets compressed based on how much you turn the output knob. So it's less obvious because it compresses more, but when in new mode, it actually is straight soft clipping of the output stage. Okay, so quick tip, this is a great trick for mastering. Let's get to the next one, which is the CLA76, another one of my favorite from Waves. This is not really a secret, but many don't know about this one. So you can disengage the compression completely on the CLA76 by clicking Comp Off, and just use the input and output to saturate the material as you can on the hardware unit. So let's hear it in action. And of course, the blue one has more saturation. And of course, if I turn the compression on, it will compress and not distort in the same way. Okay, while compression disengaged, a nice sounding saturation. Quick tip, try this saturation mode on vocals and drums. It's really nice. Next one is the Metafilter. This is the flagship filter from Waves, really cool plugin, but we're not using the filter here. What we are interested in is the drive knob. Again, there's a rise in volume, but you can hear the nice saturation effects, all the details it brings up. It's really cool. Even the crush, if used conservatively, can add to it. It's a bit crusher, basically, so stay conservative if you want to use it for saturation purposes. Okay, it adds that lo-fi crunch that is really nice. Last one is the HEQ. Great EQ, but so many times I open this one up just for the saturation. Here at the bottom, you can see it has 5 different algorithms, 5 different analog modeling for the output stage. And then we have the level, which adds the noise, but the THD level is the level of distortion. And it goes from 100% or actually 0 to 1000. And when you go around 700, 800, it's really obvious, the saturation. So I'm gonna stay there so you can hear the different. So let's start with the US vintage. UK vintage. How colored this one is. It has a specific frequency response. Very dark. Then we have UK Vintage 2. US Modern. And UK Modern. I really like the US Vintage. That's my favorite. But this was the last one, not just one, but 5 different algorithms for saturation for the output stage. But this is it for this video. I hope it was useful. I hope you liked it. If you did, please leave a like. Write in the comment your secret saturators or some favorite settings that you have for some plugin that wasn't meant to be a saturator, but you found somehow a way to use it that way. Follow MixBuzzTV on Instagram and Facebook. We have a lot of exclusive content and news coming up on those pages. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time.